no one wants to talk about race, and I love talking about race. I love talking about politics and race. I love making people feel uncomfortable about talking about this shit. It's one of my fucking pastimes. NANI? Dynamite! This is gonna be a doozy. Hey, how you guys doing? My name's Heero. This is the Identity Booth. My goal is to identify with you as you try to identify with me. Critical race theory is considered to be one of those things that you don't talk about, which is terrible because critical race theory is it's history, but from a critical lens. And that's me being very facetious. It's actually, let's look it up, shall we? Let's just get to know the definition of critical race theory. Critical race theory is a cross-disciplinary intellectual and social movement of civil rights scholars and activists who seek to examine the intersections of race and law in the United States and to challenge the mainstream American liberal approach to racial justice. I remember distinctly. There should be nothing controversial about that. But you have to understand something. There's a group of people out in the world right now who have a vested interest in saying and doing nothing to benefit you except for increasing your blood pressure. And if you let them, they'll kill you. They will absolutely kill you. Exhibit A. Ron DeSantis, Florida could shield whites from discomfort of racist past. That's a strong ass title. Thanks, Robert, who wrote this. Tallahassee, Florida, WFLA subsidiary, a bill pushed by Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis that would prohibit public schools and private businesses from making white people feel discomfort when they teach students or train employees about discrimination in the nation's past received its first approval. There's welcome back, Nafi. This is something that I want to talk about. It's already happening though. This is already happening. It's happening quietly. This is what HR departments are right now. Because for whatever they call their racial DNS or diversity and inclusion departments, they're always underfunded, they're always underrepresented, represented, and they never have any big dick energy swinging ass motherfuckers or women to actually spearhead that shit for them, because it's not advantageous for a company built on white supremacy or capitalism that also affects people of color to try and help those people. Like, what benefit does it give them? And this is me taking a very broad stroke at it, but at the undercurrent of it, this lack of education, this lack of preparedness to have these tough conversations allows these sentiments to spread. No one wants to talk about race, and I love talking about race. I love talking about politics and race. I love making people feel uncomfortable about talking about this shit. It's one of my fucking pastimes. Like, I literally look forward to it, and I can tell when people start shaking, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm here to stay. It's type of stuff like that, but it's not to antagonize people. More so, it's just to let them understand that we won't get past it until we at least can talk about it. So this is, and there was a great counter argument that I love hearing. When everybody loves quoting that one line from Martin Luther King, I've literally erased it from my head. It's not to judge the person by the content of their color, the color of their skin, but the content of their character. That is what critical race theory is all about. But a lot of people say that without actually holding it up, because he also said to educate a man is to also give that man the ability to avoid bullshit. And I'm paraphrasing there. Because if you don't properly educate yourself, you're only allowing yourself to become victim to more bullshit. Let's dive deeper. DeSantis called the critical race theory crap last month and said he would seek legislation that would let parents sue schools, employees sue employers if they We're subject to its teaching. What about the people who experience racism? Can we sue those people? Can we sue people who go around flying the Confederate flag? What about anytime the white person decides to use the N-word with an A or an R? Can we sue them? What is this madness they're putting on the screen? How is this bill going to help anybody, serve anybody? It takes aim at critical race theory, though it doesn't mention it explicitly. So that's a very important thing, because critical race theory is a form of education, and that's something that is First Amendment protected. You can't dock somebody for the way that they're being taught. That's like, it's not really protected, but in a sense, it's like saying because 2 + 2 is 4, and someone believes it's 5, we're going to send everyone who says it's 5 to jail. It's like flat earthers believing the earth is flat. As long as it's not hurting nobody, you can't really punish them for it. That's part of their freedom of speech. But to then outlaw it to make it feel uncomfortable, it implies that you're antagonizing them with it. This is the same dude that said it was okay for people in cars to run over protesters, and then some dude in, where was it? I believe it was in Vegas. He then drove his car into a crowd of people and killed a woman. DeSantis, we are going to be including it in this legislation, giving parents and private rights of actions to be able to enforce prohibition on CRT. They get to recover attorney fees when they prevail. This is similar to the law for the people who were willing to snitch on people having abortions. And there was a doctor who actually performed an abortion right after it, and then admitted in the newspaper that he did it. And I want to follow up on that story, but I don't believe anyone has sued him over it. No one has sued him. So this is not an enforceable law. This is something they can't enforce, but it's just to put meat on the bones, right? Because they don't have any policies. They don't have anything smart to say. So, of course, they're going to litter the field with this bullshit and this utter nonsense. But I do want to be clear. If they allow something like this to go, they're only setting themselves back 10 years. Because ultimately, if you're going to give white people the right to not feel discomfort from being educated on their ancestors, their forefathers' history, then it's only justifiable that you give every black person who experiences some form of trauma from racism and white people reparations for that. Go ahead, pay us up, clap it up. I want money. I want some money. I ain't took all these L's for you. Can I get some money?
I heard what you said about me a few days ago, yeah.
Another thing that they're going to have to prepare themselves for if they're doing this, what happens, and this is a tragic one, what happens when they're telling the truth? If a white man came up to me and spit in my face and called me the N-word, and I said, racist white people like your forefathers did that back in the day, and then I walked up and clocked his punk ass, are we both getting in trouble? Because I was defending myself. I was assaulted, so I just defended myself. But is it because I mentioned his forefathers now a reason that he can turn around and sue me? Because it's not criminal. This is all going to be civil. This is what our tax dollars are being wasted on. It's mindless self-indulgence. Ron DeSantis wants to run for president so bad. He is Trump. He is Trumpian in nature, in both mind and status and capability. But the thing about it is he's actually a cognizant thinker. He can do stuff. He can actually create damage. Just remember, anyone who says they're a Republican, you just have to ask them, why? You're a Republican? Are you racist? That should be the immediate follow-up. You're a Republican? Are you racist? That should just be immediate follow-up, because it's just like, this is a person who's leading in their caucus. And don't get me wrong, the Democrats are no better. We got Christian Sinema and Joe Manchin, the likes of them. But these are clear outliers of situations that are hindering us. So, like I said, I'm interested to know what you guys think about this situation. Like or share. You don't only have to do one of the two. I appreciate it. You guys take care of yourself. Let's get to the next part of the show.
Slow it down and we can catch the vibe. But it's so hard to find through the daily grind. Been working overtime, and I'm sleep deprived. Shorty on my line and we fuss and fight. Seems like every night. Don't care who's wrong or right. I hope the end is sight. Slow it down.